Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Countdown to Kickoff, presented by GoBillsPodcast.com, where we bleed red, white, and blue. We are super excited to be back for our third season of Buffalo Bills football, and today we are going to talk about the Countdown to Kickoff for the Arizona Cardinals and Buffalo Bills, what the Bills need to do to get a win today against those Cardinals. It is going to be a fun game in Highmark Stadium. You know the atmosphere is going to be electric out there, and I can't wait. My name is Brett McDurphy. For those of you who don't know me, I am the founder of the Go Bills podcast. And before we begin, I want to go over our intro real fast. Let's hit that intro right now. More than 30 minutes away from the start of the Buffalo Bills season 2024 is about to begin. This is what every man that is married or has a girlfriend is waiting for. All off season, we have spent time with our wives. We've spent time with our families. Now we get to hibernate for the next 6 months, where we get to sit in front of the TV glued to Buffalo Bills football, as well as football in general. I am so excited for that. And we get to see our Buffalo Bills in just a matter of 30 minutes on the field with new faces all around us. And I am ecstatic to see that. My name is Brett McDurphy. I'm with the Go Bills podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Today, we're going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals and Buffalo Bills matchup. It's one of the ones that I was looking forward to when the schedule came out, because this is an Arizona Cardinals team that last year, they put up some points against some of the top tier teams when it came to the Dallas Cowboys, the Eagles, as well as a few other teams. And when Kyler Murray was out with the ACL injury, Josh Dobbs did a very good job of putting up those points. And like I mentioned, this is a team that all expectations are off of them. They can come in and be the underdog in this situation. And they have a talented team with a lot of assets that are out there on the field. So let's talk about some of the players on the Arizona Cardinals, some of the names that they picked up in the offseason. They picked up a new wide receiver for Kyler Murray to throw the ball to in Marvin Harrison Jr. I do see you guys in the chat. John Robert coming into the chat right now saying, surprised 2 linebackers were inactive. Not really surprised there. I think it's just a matter of having the right guys out there for this game. So one of them was hurt, and the other one is inactive, as well as a healthy scratch. But having Marvin Harrison Jr. out there on the field for Kyler Murray, that gives him that big focal point weapon that he can throw the ball to, especially when he had Trey McBride as his number 1 target the last year, and add in Michael Wilson to the mix. This is going to be one of those teams that the names are not very well known, but don't get me wrong, they have some talent out there and they have some speed that if Buffalo doesn't do the right things and contain the zone coverage, they can get open and they can make some big plays and put up some points on the Buffalo Bills. When I think of this matchup, I also think about the offensive line of the Arizona Cardinals, and with our defensive line with Greg Rousseau and add into the mix AJ Epinesa, Daquan Jones, and Ed Oliver, they're going to have to go up against a offensive line that's going to feature a Pro Bowl running back in James Conner that's going to be running the ball. Last season, he averaged 5 yards per carry, and this is one of those games where we have to get third and long situations for the Buffalo Bills so that we can have guys like Von Miller that can come in on third down and get to the quarterback. We can't create these third and short situations with Kyler Murray out there on the field, because in those situations, they can utilize play action passes as well as the zone run game to be able to have Kyler pick up yardage with his feet. It's going to be very important today to see what type of defense the Bills are going to have with Bobby Babich calling the plays today. But I expect to see somebody that's going to contain Kyler Murray and a linebacker that's going to be on him as a spy in case he does roll out of the pocket. That guy is probably going to be Terrell Bernard that's going to have that role. But I want to see what the Bills do to prevent Kyler Murray from picking up extra yardage with his legs, because he is a deadly player that can dictate the focal points of the game. And we don't want to see him utilizing his legs as well as getting the play action game going early on. We want to make this a one-dimensional game where we have to put the ball in Kyler Murray's arm to be able to put up points. We don't want to see his legs involved at all. So if I'm the Buffalo Bills and I'm Bobby Babich, I'm creating pressure on him, but also maintaining my gaps in these situations. Another thing that I want to say for the defense, we have a lot of different players that are going to be playing in the secondary. It's going to be interesting to see how the communication for the Buffalo Bills is going to play out with Taylor Rapp as well as DeMar Hamlin. And what a great story to have with DeMar Hamlin making his first start after the cardiac arrest incident almost 2 years ago that happened. And it's a great moment to see him back out there on the field making an impact. I see you guys in the chat and watching online. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate each and every one of you for coming into Countdown to Kickoff. The Bills did list 7 players as inactive for the game. Joe Andreessen's one of those players that is going to be inactive for the game, as well as Cedric Van Pran and a few others that will be named. I'm going to pull up the inactives as well. I want to make sure I get them right. But the inactives for the Buffalo Bills, not really any surprises that we saw. Cole Bishop's the one that kind of stood out to me as an inactive for the Bills. That was a little bit of a surprise. But other than that, I mean, this is one of those games where you have everybody healthy, and that's what I like. Let's turn it over to the offensive side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills, and let's talk about what they need to do right in order to come out of this game with a win. And for me, on offense, it's just about Josh Allen staying within himself, not creating turnovers, number one, and giving the ball to his running backs. I think that that's going to be a very big focal point in this game. When you have a running back in James Cook who put up a ton of yardage last year, over 1,100 yards that he did put up, it's important to get the ball to Cook, not only as in the run game, but also in the passing game, and create mismatches where you have guys like Kaiser White, who is going to come into this game, and he's a decent decent linebacker. That if he dictates the game, it's going to be tough. But you got to create those mismatches for the Bills on offense and create some situations where the wide receivers can get open. I like this offense a lot. And I think that the Bills are going to spread the ball out quite a bit in this game. I expect to see about 9 to 10 different players get the ball in their hands. We have a ton of players that can catch the ball. So running backs, wide receivers, tight ends that are all going to get involved in this game. And I think the biggest player that you will see getting a lot of catches is going to be Khalil Shakir in this game. John Robert coming into the chat saying, I want to see our wide receivers do well. Also, completely agree with that. Who do you think is going to make the first catch of the season for the Buffalo Bills? I'm not saying on the first play, but who do you think is going to get the first catch from Josh Allen in this game? Let us know in the comments below. This game is going to be one, like I mentioned, where we have so many different new players that are coming into the Buffalo Bills. Keon Coleman, as always, Curtis Samuel, and you add in Mac Hollins that are making their debuts for the Buffalo Bills. But we also have on the offensive line some new players making moves at different positions, and Connor McGovern is going to be the starting center for the Buffalo Bills, along with David Edwards being the starting left guard. It's going to be interesting to see how the snaps are going to play for Josh Allen after not really having a preseason where he had the opportunity to get snaps from Connor McGovern. But I think that they're going to be fine. You're going to see a great offensive line for the Bills that's going to dictate the game for the team. And when you look at the defensive line for the Arizona Cardinals, there's not a lot of big names out there on the field. They did have a couple of players that they brought in free agency, John Jenkins to mention at the defensive tackle position, along with Zaven Collins that they have on their team currently. But also they have Derek Graddock, who is another awesome defensive lineman who led the team last year in sacks with 6 sacks. It'll be interesting to see how they're going to create pressure on Josh Allen because you can't allow him to stay in the pocket. But I think that this is going to be a game where they're going to create extra pressure, and that kind of plays into what Josh Allen likes to do is when teams blitz him, he's going to run the ball quite a bit, and he's also going to utilize his legs. And I wouldn't be surprised if he utilizes his legs quite often in this game. John Robert coming into the chat saying either Khalil Shakir or Dalton Kincaid will get our first catch. Yeah, I agree with you there. It'll be definitely interesting to see how that will come into play. I do want to mention real quick, guys, that it is about 25 minutes away from kickoff to begin, but it's something that I want to mention for the Buffalo Bills season this year is that they have some new faces in terms of coaches as well as different people that are going to make decisions for the Buffalo Bills. And one of them is John Perry that's going to help out the Bills in terms of the different challenges that Sean McDermott is going to have to make. And I like this move from Sean McDermott, admitting that he struggles with when to have a challenge and when to utilize that challenge. So I think that his numbers are going to go up quite often, and he'll make sure that he gets the right call in those situations. And it also helps the Bills to eliminate penalties like we've had over the last few seasons. This is a move that I absolutely like. John Robert coming into the chat, running back James Cook will make the first catch. That's an interesting take, but I could easily see that happening as well. Don't forget that this is the first game inside Highmark Stadium, the best time of the year. The weather seems to be like it's going to be a difficult game, but it's one that I think the Bills are going to be fine in. It's 59 degrees currently in Orchard Park, New York. Humidity 57%. Winds at 19 miles per hour. No chance of precipitation in this game. But the temperature, it's football weather. I'm going to tell you that right now for upstate New York. Winds are currently gusting at 25 miles per hour, and there is no chance of rain over the next few hours. The temperature can get up to about 62, 63 degrees, somewhere in that range is where we'll be at. But excellent football weather for the Buffalo Bills. But it'll be interesting to see how Tyler Bass is able to manage the winds when it comes to kicks in this game, because you never know the winds coming off of Lake Erie. It can be difficult in that stadium. So the kickoffs as well as the extra points and kicks are going to be super important in this game, how they decide to utilize that. John Robert coming into the chat as well. Bobby Babich as defensive coordinator and calling plays is nice. He brings a lot of energy to him. And I'll tell you what, the first person in the building in the morning usually is Bobby Babich with a couple of shots of espresso in him. And he brings this energy. He kind of reminds me of like a weight lifter where he has this this extreme energy to him that pumps up everybody around him. So I can't wait to see the Bills kind of play a little bit loose this year. The expectation for the Buffalo Bills right now, as always, is that we're not expected to win the division and we're not expected to go deep in the playoffs. So when you have the pressure off of you, I think that this is where Josh Allen's going to play his best. And I think the defense is going to play their best as well, taking a little bit of a step from last year. And when I woke up this morning, guys, I want you to know, I was thinking about this season and I'm like, I'm not as optimistic as I was last year, in terms of, we have the team, we have the players, we have everything. It's our time to win the Super Bowl. This year, I'm more thinking, how can we surprise the rest of the league and go out there and play Bills football? And the mentality that I'm thinking this year is a lot like what Buffalo Fanatics a few years ago said, Buffalo versus everybody. Expectations are off of us. We don't have the expectation of winning the Super Bowl. We don't even have the expectation of winning the division. So let's go out there and let's surprise people by doing what we do best, by running the football, getting the ball to our playmakers in Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, go along with Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, and even Keon Coleman. But let's do everything we can to showcase that we are the best football team in the NFL, and we haven't lost a step. Everybody is expecting us to lose a step with Gabe Davis being out and Stephon Diggs leaving the Buffalo Bills. Expectations are that we are not going to be the same team that Stephon Diggs made Josh Allen and Gabe Davis made Josh Allen. All these different scenarios that they're playing out. Let's go out there and be the Buffalo Bills, the new Buffalo Bills that have a new 53-man roster, that we don't need these players to dictate Josh Allen. I think we're going to be fine, guys. Don't get me wrong. John Robert coming into the chat. Brandon Codrington as punt returner with the win is going to be interesting. Yeah, he's been averaging over about 30 yards per carry on kick returns as well as punt returns. So it'll be interesting to see what happens out there on the field. We're about 15 minutes away from the start of kickoff, and I do want to go around the NFL real quick and go over to a few other games and a few news that's coming out of the NFL. We did see earlier today Tyreek Hill was detained in South Florida for reckless driving. He is expected to play in the Miami Dolphins game at 1 o'clock against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Some other interesting games to keep in mind before the 1 o'clock start, if you want to look at other games that could impact the AFC. The Patriots and Bengals, that affects the AFC East significantly. We're hoping for the Bengals to win that one. The Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Miami Dolphins at 1 o'clock. Obviously, on Monday, we do have the Jets taking on the 49ers, and that'll be the first game that Aaron Rodgers comes back after 20 months, not playing a full game. But since last year with the Achilles injury in week 1 against the Buffalo Bills, it'll be the first game that he comes back and plays. It'll be interesting to see what happens out there. Other great games to keep in mind later on this afternoon. We do have 4 o'clock games that will be very interesting with the Dallas Cowboys and Cleveland Browns, as well as the Broncos and Seahawks. That'll be another interesting game. And then the late game tonight, this is a game that could be an NFC championship game, the Los Angeles Rams and the Detroit Lions. That's going to be an interesting game to see. I know the expectation is that the Lions are going to win that game, but don't get me wrong. Matthew Stafford with Puka Nacua as well as Cooper Kupp out there on the field, they can put up some points in that game. I wouldn't be surprised about that. John Robert coming into the chat saying that let's hope Jacksonville helps the Bills and wins. That's very true. As well as Cowboys, Dak Prescott just signed a contract extension, 4-year, $240 million contract extension right before the start of the season. I knew that was going to get done. I wasn't worried about that whatsoever. I think that it's great to see him get a new contract extension, $60 million each year. It's going to be interesting. Nickel City Mafia coming into the chat saying, looking ready for football, Brett. Absolutely. I did exactly what your mom told me to do. Brush the hair, get it ready to go and everything for the game because I had to do that. Go Bills as well, Mike. Appreciate you guys. I'd like to know from the chat, everybody, let's talk about pregame rituals that you have. And I know for certain that there's some people that have a pregame ritual. You get up in the morning, you make breakfast, you probably turn on Sports Center or you turn on NFL Game Day morning, and you look forward to the start of Buffalo Bills football. But what do you typically eat when it comes to game day? For me, it's mostly pizza, wings, and a little bit of snacks and everything. I try to snack on food during commercial breaks because it's not the Super Bowl. You can't sit in front of the TV and watch the commercials as always. It's usually the same commercials. But I'd love to know from the chat, what do you guys like to eat during game days? My routine, like I mentioned, some wings that I make myself. I usually have pizza that I get from a couple of different places around me, and then just cookies and different things like that. John Robert coming into the chat, NFL Network most Sundays. Yeah, I agree. I would turn on NFL Network probably around 9 o'clock my local time and watch it. Nickel City Mafia coming into the chat. Since I don't have great food of Buffalo, I'm just snacking on chips. If I were back in Buffalo, it'd be much different. Completely agree with you, Mike. There's a Bills backers bar that's literally, if you look at where this Go Bills podcast logo is, it's about 100 yards behind that. And it's going to be shouting the Hey song in about maybe 5 minutes or so. They usually start it then. You can hear it from my house. It gets so loud that I swear the police are going to get called, but they never do. It's so awesome to see, and I can't wait for the start of Buffalo Bills football in about 10 minutes, as always. But let's do score predictions, everybody, and I want to get into my score predictions for the game. I have the Bills winning this one by about, I'm going to say 14 points in this game. I think that this is going to be a game where the Bills showcase that they are one of the best teams in the NFL still. There's no worries about it. They're not going to skip a beat. Dalton Kincaid's going to have a big game. I expect him to have over 80 yards in this game, as well as Curtis Samuel going over 100 yards. I think the Bills are going to run the ball quite often in this game as well, and it'll be fun to see the Bills utilizing different players on the field and not having that number one target necessarily that the Bills are going to utilize. It's going to be more of a next man up mentality, and I love that from the Bills and sling the rock to so many different players. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on score predictions for the game. We had a couple that came out yesterday on Nickel City Mafia, as well as on Go Bills podcast for score predictions. So we appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming into the chat. I want to take a moment just to talk about the start of the NFL season. And first of all, I want to send my thoughts and prayers to everybody that's out there on the field for the Buffalo Bills and all the players that are going to be playing in the NFL this season. Just hope that each and every one of you stays healthy. I know that injuries do happen, but we hope that you stay healthy, and we can't wait for an awesome season of Buffalo Bills football. As always, it's going to be a fun time throughout the year. We will have shows each and every week for you guys. I want to mention the shows that we will have. Coming up this week, we will have Overreaction Monday on Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube as well as Facebook. Tuesdays, we will have our pregame or our preview show of the next week's game. That one, everything's going to be pushed back a little bit because of the Miami Dolphins game on Thursday. But we are going to have a very short week this week where we have Overreaction Monday on Monday. We will have our preview show on Tuesday. Wednesday of this week will be our final 24 episode where we will talk about the matchup of the Miami Dolphins and Buffalo Bills on Thursday night. Then Thursday, we will have our pregame, postgame, and halftime shows that we will do. But normally what we will have for game day, and this will be in effect for week 3, is we will have Overreaction Monday on Mondays. Tuesdays will be our preview show. On Saturday, we will have our final 24 show, then pregame, postgame shows, and halftime shows as well. But we will also have a quarterback show on either Thursday or Wednesday, one of the 2 days, depending on my availability. But it'll be very interesting this season. But you can find all of our shows that we will have on our website, gobillspodcast.com. That will be updated immediately after the show so that you can be notified every time that we are going live on our shows. But also don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Threads, along with the website, gobillspodcast.com. You can also find us on Nickel City Mafia and Red, White, and Bills on YouTube as well. And we are, like I mentioned, just minutes away from the kickoff of Buffalo Bills football, about 10 minutes away from kickoff. Don't forget to grab your snacks, get everything ready, get the channel on. If you're on Sunday Ticket, the game is going to be on, it won't be on regular TV, but it will be on the Sunday Ticket. I do have the Sunday Ticket, and if you do need the game, let me know. I can put it in the chat. I know a couple of little shortcuts to get the game if you don't have them, or message me on Facebook or Instagram as well. I can get you the game as always. This has been the Go Bills podcast. We will see you next time for another edition of Countdown to Kickoff. We will be back again for the halftime show, and we will see you in about 2 hours. As always, Go Bills.